Erica Desper. As you may know, I am a mom on a mission with my neurodivergent son to get information and resources to other local families more easily and earlier on in their journey. And today I'm excited to be joined by Dr. Melissa Anderson. She's the consulting clinical psychologist at Central Nursery School in Wayne, and they are launching an exciting new program that some of you may benefit from. So we just want to meet Dr. Melissa and hear more about it. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Erica.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time. So as everybody knows, I've been on a very long journey with our son. I noticed differences in preschool. He had really hard issues with separation and sensory stuff. And it wasn't really until now, 8th grade, that we got all the diagnoses and the labels and the supports and all of that. So that kind of long journey I am channeling into trying to help other parents to find what they need, so much sooner. So that's why I love what you're offering. So first tell us about you and your own journey, and then we'll get to this new program.
Great. So I have been a psychologist for almost 30 years now. And I started my passion for early childhood in my last year of training, where I got a special opportunity to go and work in a therapeutic nursery and kindergarten in Cleveland, Ohio. And I really enjoyed, I was the art teacher because the art teacher happened to quit at that moment, in addition to doing a lot of clinical work in the school and with daycares. And I would have stayed there had my then fiance, now husband, not been in Philadelphia. So I came back and really said the model that they used in Cleveland, it was called the Hannah Perkins School for Research for Child Development, has been replicated in several cities. In Texas, it's been replicated as well as North Carolina. And I said, there's nothing like that in Philadelphia. I would love to do that one day. So fast forward almost 30 years and 4 children later. My oldest is 25, my youngest is 16. I found myself in the beginning of COVID going back as a consultant to Central Nursery School because the director there, Tricia McCrone, really noticed that parents were struggling. COVID was really hard, especially on young families. And she said, we need more resources. And so I started working there in addition to my other work in schools, and then became in-house. And it started a conversation of what is happening for some children who cannot be either accepted into traditional preschools or are asked to leave traditional preschools. And that was an issue very close to my heart because I had a child like that. I had a child now 23 years ago who was in preschool, and the preschool only focused on his behaviors, which were challenging. And why, what's going on? Nobody said, how can I help you as a parent? And so I always felt that if there was a child who was very sensitive and neurodiverse potentially, or gifted in some way, and needed a place, where would they go? So that conversation started about 2.5 years ago with the folks at Central, as well as an advisory group of occupational therapists, physical therapists, speech therapists, other preschool directors, and parents, about what kind of program would parents want. And so our ultimate goal is to aim to start a therapeutic school that would offer a chance for these children and families. But right now we're starting with a 2-morning-a-week program at Central.
Wow, I love that. I mean, first of all, I feel like every school should have that sort of board and that sort of planning go into techniques and curriculum, but we all know all too well that that isn't how it works. So it sounds amazing. I already feel like a sense of relief as I listen to you talk. Okay, so that's great. That gives us the who and the why. So let's dig in a little bit more toward, well, first of all, it's called the Sanctuary Program, correct? I love
the school we're hoping is called the Sanctuary Program because we hope it to be a sanctuary for families where they can feel in community and understood. Mm-hmm. This program will be called the Pathfinders program.
Got it. Thank you for correcting me. Pathfinders, I love as well. So who is it geared towards? First, let's break down the ages and the format, because I understand that parents are an important part of this process, and then we'll get to like what types of challenges.
Exactly. So it's for 4- and 5-year-old children who either are struggling or cannot attend traditional preschools or are asked to leave traditional preschools. And these are children who are vulnerable and profoundly sensitive to the world around them for a whole host of reasons. It could be the way that they are neurotypically wired. It could be because of experiencing trauma. It could be of sensory motor sensitivities for a whole different reasons. And these are kids who, when they are stressed or feel worried or afraid, they either collapse inwardly or act outwardly. So it's really both. It's not just the child who is really struggling with impulsivity in the classroom, but the child who also is really withdrawn and either cannot even attend classroom. When you spoke of your child who was highly anxious, these are highly anxious kids who are just even too afraid. And I think COVID didn't help that for families at all.
For sure, for sure. And can you touch on the parent involvement piece?
Yeah. And I'll be also a little bit more clear with them. So there are some really wonderful programs in the community for kids who have significant levels of autism. And there are also wonderful programs in the community for kids who have primary speech and language issues. So those kids, I think, are getting served. This is for kids who might have, different issues going on with them, in addition maybe to some autism issues, as well as some speech and language issues, but it's not primary, and that their difficulty is much more in the social realm. So being in an environment that really is much more individualized, is much more sensitive to provide relationships and holding in safety and routine, those are the ones that we're thinking about.
Excellent. Excellent. And then one component is, as opposed to the typical drop-off program, how does yours differ?
Right. So that's a great question. I think that we really believe not only are parents the greatest expert, but healing happens in the context of a relationship. And unlike typical social skills group or an IU program that offers an intervention, we really believe that parents are not only experts in their children, but integral in their healing and understanding. And the parents that are coming to us, the families are coming to us, this is not their first stop. They've been through a lot of other places, and having a child who has big baffling feelings, as Robin Goebel says, or big feeling kids is challenging, and it can be exhausting, and it can be grief-stricken, and it can be painful. And so we really feel that the way that we can understand these children the best is really in partnership with their grown-ups that are most important to them. And if we as a team together can figure out what their nervous systems need, what are the things that overwhelm them, what are the things that calm them and reassure them together, how do they work in the classroom, how do they work at home, how do they not work? Because some of it is going to be trial and error depending on each individual child, then the long-term benefits will be much greater and much more long-lasting. So without the kind of caregivers and grown-up support, we don't feel like we can achieve that. So yeah, so I was just going to say, so it'll look different for each child, that parent involvement, in addition to wanting to have regular parent meetings with the teacher and myself to be in communication. For a child who has a lot of anxiety or separation issues, that parent may need to be in the group with the child for a significant, if not all, period of time. For a child who easily separates, that's not their primary issue, has other things, the parent might be there in the beginning so that the child feels their parent's presence in the classroom. But after 1 or 2 sessions or 3 sessions, the parent might be able to be out of the classroom and just be in touch in different ways. So it's very individualized.
Awesome. Which I think, I feel like we've kind of covered my second question, but I just want to see if you want to add to it in any way. Or actually let me back up, but I think we covered both of these. So what types of emotional and behavioral challenges are we specifically talking about? Do you want to dig into that a little more?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I said, these are children whose nervous systems are vulnerable, right? For a host of reasons. They're not, one reason. Each child is really unique and different. but they are children who have sensory motor sensitivities. They're children who have significant levels of anxiety or depression. Something is interfering with their ability to developmentally be in a classroom that is more typical. And that could be because they are withdrawn so much because they feel worried or scared in that environment, or they are reacting to their sensitivity and vulnerability in a more outward way.
And that's what
So
we're
the
seeing,
child
like hitting or,
exactly can
those
be
types of
impulsive.
external behaviors.
Now, we aim to have 4 to 6 children with 2 teachers. So we cannot have a classroom of 6 children who all have outwardly manifesting struggles, right? So we're going to be very thoughtful about the group that we put together. But we want to be as inclusive as possible and know that those children, to look beyond behaviors, that those children who are, as people say, acting out or impulsive are doing it because of a reason. And we're not just looking at the behaviors, we're really looking at the why and what's underneath and what systems of safety and connection can we put in place, both in the classroom and at home, to help that child feel that they can regulate themselves better.
Right. So that segues into the next question of, why would this program be a better fit for these types of children? But it sounds like it's the individuality of it. It's the looking underneath. It's the safety piece, the parent collaboration piece. I can see how that would all be a much better fit.
Yeah, exactly. And, we have had OTs spend a lot of time in our classroom thinking about the placement of every toy, thinking about, we have gross motor things in the classroom. We have a quiet corner in the classroom. We have fine motor, sensory motor things. We have heavy input sensory things. So we've thought about all of that in addition to a real focus on helping children put their feelings into words if they can. Because a lot of these kids are having them in their bodies. So they don't know why. Some can put them into words, but some don't know why. And that's what our job is, to figure out with them and their caregivers. The why.
Beautiful. So if a parent is watching this and saying, and loving it as much as I love it when I hear it, and they want to learn more details and dates and things like that, what do you have in the works and where could they reach out to you?
Yeah. So the program is going to be at Central Nursery School, which is in the heart of Wayne, and they can reach out to Central. The phone number for Central is 610-688-8563. And they can just say, I'm interested in the Pathfinders program, and they will get redirected to myself or my co-teacher or the director. Or they can email me directly at Melissa Anderson, it's SON, at cnsinc.org.
Wonderful.
It's all on the Central website as well, so they can look there too.
And how soon, what are your plans in terms of openings for the program?
We are aiming to start our first group in January with 4 to 6 children. And then we're hoping to have a second group in the spring. And for some families, it might be contiguous. So they might be in the first and second group.
Okay, awesome. Wonderful. Well, I love what you are putting together. I really hope that other families who maybe feel like they've hit their last stop, or are on their second stop and don't know if that's going to be the last, I hope that they are able to get this information and reach out to you. I feel like had something like that existed for my son, and I had known about it, we could have had maybe a more pleasant and more concise journey, which is my mission now, right? So I really appreciate your time and your program. And I'm sure we'll have you're obviously a wealth of information, so I'm sure we'll have you back to chat again.
Well, thank you so much, Erica, and thank you for all you do for our community. I feel like I wish you were there when I had much less this program, because I think I would have felt much less alone and had many more resources.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we'll both just keep doing what we're doing, and hopefully the families will benefit. Thank you so much, and thanks everybody for watching.
Bye.